I'm Kathyrn Lewis from Norman, Oklahoma. We are a district of about 16,500 students. We have 24 schools. We have 15 of our schools are Title I schools. We have a very diverse population. And we have 2 high schools, 1 large alternative school, 17 elementary schools, and 4 middle schools. My project for LILEAD has been to help our district engage in a pedagogy that's research-based that will help them move forward when we move to a one-to-one implementation. Today, we want our learners to be creative, collaborative, innovative, and thinking. And in order to do that, we were really looking for a pedagogy that would help us make that change. We have a wonderful community in Norman, and recently they voted a bond issue to put one-to-one computing in secondary classrooms, which we have about 8,000 secondary students, and more devices in the hands of elementary students. We have about 8,000 elementary students. So in order to do that in a way that really was meaningful and more about the learning than about the technology, we were really looking for a research-based pedagogy. And that pedagogy for us is guided inquiry. We have looked into the guided inquiry process, and we believe that teacher librarians are key in this. Teacher librarians are at the helm or at the center of a paradigm shift that we think can make this happen in our district. And so we started a couple of years ago, and I shared the guided inquiry book with my supervisor, who said, "Wow, this is the way I wrote my dissertation." And I said, "Wow, this is probably how you'd buy a car, too." So she really got it and was very excited about it. And she said, "Go ahead and move forward with the librarians." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Let's buy this book for all our curriculum team," which is about 20 people in our district. So we studied the book by librarians and the teachers. The librarians tinkered a little. Then we decided to move forward with having Dr. Leslie Maniotis, who's an author of the book, come and do training with our teachers. So last fall, we had training for groups of teachers. We trained about 150 of our teachers, librarians, instructional coaches, and gifted resource coordinators in our buildings, who then went back and did over 40 units last spring. Just in the spring, they did over 40 units with our learners. And we celebrated. We had a big cake with the guided inquiry symbol on it, and it was really fun. We celebrated, and it was just fun. And we showed a video to our audience, and we invited teachers who had participated in guided inquiry but not gone through the training, as well as everybody who had gone through the training. And all the key players, our superintendent, our Board of Education. We invited all of those people to celebrate with us, so that was exciting. So we wanted to know how much change we'd really affected in our district. So the way to do that was to survey everyone who had participated, teachers, librarians, gifted teachers, instructional coaches. So we did a survey, and as you can see from these results, we had pretty impressive results here. I will tell you that I think that our teachers really shared some other things in quotes, and I want to share a couple of those quotes as we move forward today, and I don't have those memorized, but I'm going to read them to you. One teacher said, "The genuine discussions after and during the units involved making real-world connections. Many of those connections were very personal to the students themselves. They led to more questions that students wanted to investigate long after the unit was complete." The collaboration between the librarian and the teachers really increased, and you can see here that there was teachers identified the difference between collaboration and co-teaching here, as you can see on this slide, and I think this is impressive. One teacher said, "The guided inquiry model has changed my teaching in many ways. I collaborate with our school librarians more. Projects require a bit more planning," no surprise to any of you, "but students are developing information literacy and social skills. I'm just doing more co-teaching." So that's exciting to hear from a teacher. As you'll also see, and I'll hit this several times today, that 97% of our teachers reported that the standards for the unit of study were covered in the guided inquiry well, and that was important to us, that we were covering the standards. In the next slide, we were interested in knowing if the teachers felt like guided inquiry was beneficial to all the learners they have in their classrooms. So as you can see, 90.5% said yes to ELL, 90.3% to special needs students, 98.4% to gifted students, and 100% to regular students. We think these percentages are pretty impressive. One teacher said, "I felt as though all of my subgroups were able to benefit from the process. For gifted students, there was no limit to what they could do. For my struggling students, a natural scaffold fell into place. I believe guided inquiry is so beneficial for all students because of its individualized nature and the fact that the impetus is on the student for decision making." You know, we don't know what the future holds for our students, but we sure know we need to equip them to be ready for it. And as we looked at our data and the comments from teachers, we think it's very promising, uses guiding inquiry. One of our teachers said, students found it difficult to formulate their questions, but they were able to express their ideas clearly. It will be exciting to see their growth in this area as they participate in more guided inquiry units. Students were not used to creating their own questions. As this becomes more natural to them, I think it will be less perplexing. For many years, students have been told what their questions are. Now they're going to have to make their own questions. It's exciting. In the next slide, we saw an increase in student engagement, increase in student outcomes, and again, this important piece about meeting the standards. One of my teachers said it was a little daunting at first to give up so much control. But when our team jumped in and decided to take on this project, we saw increased engagement and incredible learning taking place. Students were more invested in their products than when we give them the questions in research. The research was more meaningful to them, and the participation and excitement was greater. They were all proud of their work. So what are our next steps? For us, our next steps are, we've already had this June, we trained 49 more teachers, and in July, we're training 46 more teachers, along with their teacher librarians. We think that the voices of our teachers and principals are really speaking loudly. We also have heard from our principals that they would like to move forward with this, which is huge, as you all know. Our principals have asked for more training, so in the fall, we're going to get to have 2 more 3-day institutes. By the time we're through in the fall, at the end of the fall, we'll have about a quarter of our 1,100 teachers trained, which is incredible. And I had one high school principal say he wants every teacher in his building to engage in a guided inquiry unit. This is a building of over 130 teachers, so that's pretty impressive, a high school of about 2,000. Those 2 librarians are going to be really busy, I have a feeling. One of our teachers shared, she says, as a parent and a veteran teacher, I know inquiry learning is worth the commitment of time for collaboration planning. The depth of knowledge and joy that comes from learning this way speaks to both student and teacher needs to connect deeply with content and emotion, transforming mere lessons to rich experiences that build foundational skills for life beyond the classroom. One of my high school principals said this, guided inquiry has given our teachers a way to build cross-curricular and, more importantly, relevant units for our students, pushing students deeper and empowering them to drive their learning through research is timely and is preparing them for the world we are arming them to change for the better. So as we move forward, we're looking forward to see what happens next, and we can't wait. And I just want to thank LILEAD for helping make it happen. Thank you all very much.